So in the House of Representatives, a motion to vacate is a vote to remove the Speaker. And in this House, it is an axe that has been hanging over Speaker Kevin McCarthy's head and has been since the day he took up the gavel. But today, Speaker McCarthy apparently finally had enough. In closed-door meetings this morning, he told his fellow Republicans, if you want to file a motion to vacate, then file the effing motion. In all likelihood, the F-bomb was directed to Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who has not exactly been shy about his dislike for Speaker McCarthy and who has compiled a list of hostage demands, including spending cuts and a vote on term limits and a congressional subpoena of Hunter Biden. Congressman Gaetz responded in the way that only he can, with a tweet reading, "Pull yourself together, Kevin." But can Kevin pull himself together? It is an exasperating job catering to the unsatiable. And nothing Kevin McCarthy has done to appease his conference has so far worked. Not even ordering the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. But so far, there is no exit from this devil's bargain, even and especially as critical funding bills get held up and the government inches closer to a potential shutdown. Based on the current schedule, there are 9 legislative days left to avoid that outcome. Joining me now is Washington Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. She leads the Progressive Caucus in the House. Congresswoman Jayapal, thank you so much for being here. Is it a foregone conclusion that we're going to have a government shutdown? I mean, how in your mind is that avoided at this point?
Alex, it's great to see you. And look, I think that this is a real challenge that is before us because this Republican majority, this speaker has turned his gavel over to the extreme right wing of his party who are making demands that are absolutely unattainable. So they have not been able to pass 11 of the 12 spending appropriations bills that are just the basic task of governing. Instead, Kevin McCarthy is trying to keep his speakership by dangling this shiny new object of impeachment of Joe Biden, absolutely baseless and absurd impeachment of Joe Biden, before the caucus, trying to keep that and at the same time distracting from the work that needs to be done. So I think what we need to do is look to the Senate, because in the Senate, a democratically controlled Senate has worked with Republicans to pass all of their appropriations spending bills with significant bipartisan majorities. They can take those bills and send them over to the House. They can take a clean, continuing resolution to give us a little bit more time, because at the end of the day, Speaker McCarthy is going to have to decide if he wants to be a speaker or if he is just essentially handing the gavel over to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And one more thing, Alex, just let's be clear. They can't pass their own appropriations bills because they are trying to pass a nationwide abortion ban. They are trying to completely eliminate public education. They are trying to make sure that the wealthiest tax cheats don't have to pay taxes. Those are the things that they're trying to pass in these appropriations bills. As policy writers, it's not going to fly.
Help me understand the Democratic calculus here, though. If Kevin McCarthy worked across the aisle to get anything done in a bipartisan fashion, it would basically drive a nail into his coffin as Speaker. And I guess my question to you is it worth it? Is whoever replaces Kevin McCarthy better than Kevin McCarthy, or is the devil you know better than the devil that you don't know?
I mean, look, I think that they are just showing that Republicans can't govern. And whether it's Kevin McCarthy or the next speaker, unless they recognize that they are just one of 3 chambers that are needed to pass bills, and they have to work in a bipartisan fashion, we are going to be in Republican chaos, Republican shutdown land until 2024. This is not going to bode well for them for the elections. I think they know this. If we have a shutdown, this is a Republican shutdown, and we are careening towards it. I think for Democrats, listen, if Kevin McCarthy needs us to bail him out, it's going to be extremely difficult without some sort of a power sharing arrangement. And we haven't gotten to the point where we're even talking about this. But I don't think he should count on Democratic votes to bail him out. I think Republicans have to show the country that they know how to govern. Otherwise, they're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. And all of us, the American people, are going to have to deal with the consequences of that. It's a very sad moment. I don't take any joy from this, Alex.
In the meantime, Kevin McCarthy is giving away whatever the MAGA caucus wants, including the impeachment inquiry. It feels like Democrats are taking there's a more of a concerted strategy to push back on the impeachment boondoggle. Is that what's happening behind closed doors? Can you give us any insight to the gravity that Democrats feel is in front of them in terms of an impeachment situation, if you will?
Well, I think that the gravity is because it's baseless and absurd. I don't think that I've been through an impeachment inquiry. As you know, I sit on the Judiciary Committee. Our impeachment inquiries of Donald Trump were started in two situations that were very serious. One where he was essentially trying to hold Zelensky hostage in order to get military aid from the United States, and the second where he incited an insurrection. There is nothing in the Republican investigations that they've been taking on for over a year into President Biden. There really is nothing there, and that's part of their problem. So how are we handling it? We're taking it seriously. We're pushing back on it. We are making the very clear comparison between President Biden, where there is nothing, no evidence at all, and Donald Trump, who has now been indicted, as you've covered many times on your program, of 91 felony counts, and that includes grand juries. That is, this is very serious national security and election interference. So we're taking it seriously, but I'm also trying to make sure people understand that this is distracting from the real work. You said in your opening that we've got 9 legislative days left.
Yeah.
That careens us to a shutdown if they don't start doing their work.
9 days. Mark it on your calendar and see what happens next. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, thank you so much for your time. As always, it's great to see you.
Great to see you, Alex.